All over the U.S., there were many families that lived and worked in fear of getting the draft. A draft is a note saying that a man in the family has to go to war. Many people that got drafts came here because at the border they weren't asked if they had drafts. The people that came here built a camp now known as the hippie camp. The people in the hippie camp were draft dodgers. There was a woman and a man, and later on they had a child. I can understand why they didn't want to go to war. I learned that American Army sergeants were very mean and strict, and that one of the Army squads did this one very bad thing. They found all of the wives and children of the enemy, put them all in a ditch, and showered them with bullets until no one was left. More than 58,000 American soldiers were killed in war.
I'm at Salmon River Lake on the Trans-Canada Trail that goes to the hippie camp. The trail was created 100 years ago, and it was supposed to be a railroad track. This was a home for an American conscientious objector to the war in Vietnam, his wife and infant child during the early 1970s. It lived off the land by growing vegetables and made shoes from older car tires, all on $2.17 a month.
This is the hippie camp. It's so unimaginable that one person could live in it, let alone 3. How could they make it through the winter? If you lived in it, do you think you would survive? It's still in great shape, so it must have been built very well. They lived here for all seasons. They mostly lived off the land, so they must have pickled a lot. How would they get through the doors? Let's take a look inside. Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about the people at the hippie camp?
Yeah, they came here in, it was approximately 1971 from New York City. And this Dan Eric's parents bought a piece of land down here. They moved in there, and we call them huts. They lived in those.
So, how did they make the huts?
They cut wood off of the property that they owned and built it as a house.
But they're still in pretty good shape now.
Yes, they were well built. First, when they came, was just 2, Dan and Beverly. And then, after they were there a couple of years, there was, I'd say they were probably in their early or mid-20s. They had gone to university and graduated, so they were probably in the mid-20s.
So, how long did they stay?
They were here about probably 5 or 6 years.
And how did they get around to get the supplies?
First, they walked from here to Guysborough. But then after they were here 3 or 4 months, they bought an old car and were traveling that.
So did they eat normal things like us, or did they eat more different things?
They bought some groceries, but they lived quite a bit off the land. They picked their own berries and they caught their own fish.
I heard that they might have had a garden.
Yes, I always planted a garden here, so they tried to plant a garden back where they were living, and it didn't amount to too much. So the following year, they wanted to know if they could plant one out here. So I gave them a piece of land, and they tilled it up, planted a garden, grew vegetables, and probably planted half in sunflower seeds. The other half was vegetables.
So what did you think of it when they came?
Well, didn't think too much different than the other person that would have came, but you could tell that they were a little bit different than the people that lived here because they wanted to be more or less by themselves and grow a lot of their own food. But they were friendly.
Did you feel like that you had to protect them from people that wanted to come get them?
Not really, because we didn't know their history at that time. Afterwards, we found out that they were, I guess they were here, and they didn't have passports. So it was 5 or 6 years before they caught up with them.
What year was the baby born?
Let's see, she was Sean's age, 1973.
Did you ever go visit them or check up on them?
Oh yes, back and forth quite a bit. We became pretty good friends. And they used to come out here and we'd bring them in for meals and stuff. I remember one Christmas Eve they came out, really cold night. And we met them down in the driveway going to church, so we picked them up, took them to church, and we came back for church, they came up here after midnight. And they had a meal and stuff. So they were back and forth quite a bit. And they used to use the phone here and stuff to call the relatives and stuff.
Okay, so were they draft dodgers?
I think they probably were. They came from New York City. Dan's father was a famous medical surgeon, and I think it was him that purchased the land for Dan. And I think it was a way for them to escape at the time because the Vietnam War was on, and this was a good place to hide. I can remember one occasion where Dan, one time, froze his foot. And but they also used to visit neighbors over here, James and Kay Farrell. And they landed over there, I guess, a couple of days after that. And Dan's foot was swelled up and turned black. And they wanted to go to the hospital. And he wouldn't go. He said he was going to treat himself. So apparently he did, but I don't know what kind of treatment was. Because I heard after they left here that he lost his foot and his leg, buried his leg, I think too, and it was from freezing back here. And also their daughter was born in January, I think it was.
That was the following year.
The following year, and that was a very cold night that she was born.
So when did they get caught?
But she was born, they went away, and she was born. Wherever they went, we don't know. But they came back 3 months later and they had the little one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when did they get caught and where?
They were at the Bank of Commerce in Antigonish, standing in the lineup. And two gentlemen came in dressed in suits and took them by the arm. Away they went.
Yeah, they went somewhere for the fall and winter for a while, and when they came back, they had this little girl. And
I thought she was born there.
no, she was about 3 or 4 months old when they brought her back. It was in the spring when they came back, and she, her name was Chula, or I don't know how you'd spell that, that's her name. And they were out visiting a neighbour, and the neighbour was kind of inquisitive, and she asked, well, what would you feed the little one at that time, other than, breast milk? The little one was 3 or 4 months old, I said. And they said that when they got the Gasparilla, they give her Gasparilla. She said, aren't you scared they'll choke on the bones? And she said, oh no, we chew it first and then we give it to her. It was like a bird. Like feeding a bird.
That's cool, but a little gross.
But they had, there was some, they used to string apples down there, and they'd have the dried apples. And they, after they left, I wasn't down to their dwelling when they were there, but some people were. After they left, there was jars of something, like they were pickled and left behind, because I guess they didn't get much chance to go back and get what they had left behind because of being picked up in the Indian Ocean. But no, they, and because Eddie had planted somewhere else, and the little one was with them, and they just sat her on the bank at the side of the road. It was a hot sunny day. She didn't have a cap on. She was quite, not much hair, but her head was as brown as could be. Another time she went to a neighbor's, and the neighbor, she had no diapers or anything on her. And the neighbor said, well, what do you do when she needs to go? Well, she said, we just carry a rag with us and we clean her and that. So that she didn't even have a diaper on at that time. And she did go on the neighbor's floor, and the neighbor at that time, she was kind of crippled. She wasn't well. And she said, I'm afraid I can't get down to do that. I'm afraid you're going to have to clean it up, she said. So that's kind of the way they travel. I don't know what they would have bought in the store up the road at Joe Morrison's, but I know they did walk out and make some purchases and walk back in. The second year they came, they had a vehicle, an old car, back there, a green car. I suppose they had it because the little one, they couldn't carry her all the time. No, they lived, and I guess they cleaned up in the river. You probably saw the building, didn't you? It's quite low.
Inside.
Yeah, they say the little one slept on a shelf there, but it wasn't a very safe thing for her when she was so young, such a, just a baby. And like the little one going around now with who'd ever hear it going around with it being kind of a diaper, and that's the way they lived. I think they were really a part of that flower trial down in the States back in the late 60s, early 70s. Yeah. There was a few neighbors who wanted to see them, know what was going on. They went in, and one fellow claims now, I don't know how true it is, that he met her coming up from the river with nothing but a pair of rubber boots on. And she had no qualms about talking to him. But she was probably taking her bath, like Leanie interrupted it. But he was known to tell stories, that fellow. So I don't know how reliable it would have been.
Thanks for all the information. That really helpful for the project.